welcome to Stress Less, Joy More, all about well-being. And we're your hosts. I'm Paula,
And Doris.
and we're here to help you slow down, to breathe, to reconnect with what truly makes you feel good. And I am so grateful to be here today as we open this conversation with an amazing guest that I'm eager to learn from. And there's so much wisdom that's just waiting to unfold in our conversation.
Thank you, Paula. And I'm so joyful to welcome here today Claudia Goetzelmann. Her approach is holistic. She works with the body and the mind and holds her clients in the containers and modalities of compassionate inquiry, IFS, and focusing, FSMP, end of life, relational path with integration. And after completing a year-long apprenticeship under the guidance of Francis Weller, she also works with grief, tender, and ritualist. Currently, she's enrolled in postgraduate program to become a traumatologist with focus around addiction and trauma. She describes herself as global being, believing in oneness, elder in training, and currently works from Germany, otherwise in California. And to me, Claudia is just inspiration of joy, beauty in photography and in our inner journeys towards our emotions, grief, and our body. So I'm really grateful to be sharing this time here with you today, Claudia. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for the wonderful intro.
Yeah, you've been on such an amazing journey, connecting all of these practices. But was there a moment in your life that led you to prioritize well-being? Because for me, all of these trainings are a part of self-care for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. There are multiple facets, layers to this question. So maybe, as you mentioned, photography. So I have been an advertising fashion photographer most of my life, and I traveled around the world, connecting actually with people. And so as a photographer, I always want something from my subjects. I need to establish trust right away. And, there's always that presence. And as the world changed and the way we consume changed, the way we buy things changed, the way advertising changed, I felt like that was no longer really what I wanted to do, the way what photography turned into. I didn't feel like I'm a programmer, and the needs of photography are not there really anymore. I mean, right now we're on the brink of a whole nother revolution or change, by AI generated imagery. But so I felt like, there's more to me. There's more than advertising, and also advertising. I'm like, it doesn't really sit with me. Advertising, I'm not a shopper. I'm so holistically grounded into the earth. So that when this shift came, and along with it was my divorce, which was a phoenix rising moment, and when a gift in a way, actually now looking back. So I mean, yeah, I felt like I died, a part in me died, and I have always had this curiosity. So I became an end of life doula because I wanted to really engage with death, and I wanted to learn about death. And that's sort of how it all put me on this whole new path.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
the
you.
short version of it.
Yeah.
So we could record a whole podcast around that journey.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what really resonated with me, how we can be grounded in our work, like truly inspired, but how the way our environment works sort of gives the value of the photography away because AI just generates a picture. So there's a moment of thinking, where are you? And then divorce, and part of you died with that. That sounds so deep. And would you say that what was the biggest challenge on this path of you reconnecting with yourself?
The biggest challenge.
Yeah.
I think the loss of that relationship was probably the biggest challenge, to really sit with that grief.
Mm.
Um, but I'm a really positive person. So I face things quickly, and then I thought this is an amazing opportunity for me to look at what no longer is mine, and how I'm moving forward. I've lived around the world basically my entire life. So this became another sort of stepping stone on my journey of letting go and inviting something new in.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that was easy, but also I feel, and maybe out of this experience, I understand what it means to sit with dark emotions. And we live in a world where we're always looking for the quick fix. But if we sometimes we really need to sit in the mud, we need to
Yeah.
get dirty, we need to really be there, we need to, have this, like, really get involved with our mud, with our darkness. And maybe it's cold, and maybe it's humid and chilly, or whatever the words are. But there is so much in there. That's sort of what our soul needs in order to actually go on and grow, and you know bring this light. It's like polishing a diamond in a way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen easy. It's a no, it has to be compressed, and it has to be polished.
Yeah.
So, when we go through these dark or difficult moments in our life, it's also the most incredible opportunity, where, it's the invitation. I think that's what we are invited, all of us, no matter what. And then it becomes a choice. Can we take this or not? And usually we know that when we take it, it happens when we overcome.
Yeah. That's to accept what is and to be able to
Mm.
pause with it.
Yeah.
That's the most difficult step, like the biggest obstacle, but also the biggest gift, right?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
biggest gift.
Yeah. And would you say like that we have misconceptions about how to be in that mud? I loved how you say it, it's sticky and it's cold, it's sort of, we have this vision that it shouldn't be like that, that maybe it's wrong to feel that way. We sort of have challenges to stop in that mud.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we're told every day, everything, in our world is shiny. You go on Instagram, everybody, has this, look like they live the best life, but nobody shows the mud. But then we go out into nature, there's seasons, there is the fall, there is mud. It needs that. It needs the freezing, right? It needs the coldness. It needs the rain. It needs all that. And then the freezing over in the winter, in order for something new to come, for something new to birth, for some that regenerative process. That doesn't happen. The seed cannot regenerate itself if it just is out in the sunlight all the time. So I think and again, if we source nature, then it makes more sense. But we're so disconnected from nature. So that's why we struggle, actually, more than ever.
Yeah, definitely. And coming back to photography, you said you want everything to be polished. I was thinking AI polishes everything. Even, the pictures are so polished. So yeah, being connected to what is true. And you know what I'm thinking? Seeing you explaining this with such an ease and comfort, would you then say that we could even experience some kind of joy to be able to be in that mud?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's, if it's a courage, maybe that's the courageous step decision we are invited to do. But then if we can look at it as an opportunity, as a possibility, because life offers so much, so we can choose to, become bitter and
Mm.
hold on. And that's when suffering really happens. That's when we probably lose ourselves even more. Or we can go and sit in that mud and be like, okay, sometimes we even go, into a spa and we have a mud rub, right? We need that.
Exactly.
It's part of like our way of being. We just need it. And then we come out and we regenerate it, rejuvenate it. So I think it's again, I really want to draw from nature that
Yeah.
that we need that. And then there is, because spring is the most joyous. There is so much joy when it comes. It happens again. Yeah, unconditionally, whatever, however hard and cold and whatever this fall, winter season was, and suddenly, boom. And I think that's probably, that's how I feel that we could be as well, if that makes any sense.
Definitely, definitely. I'm hearing two things really resonate with me. One is that we can find support for ourselves in the nature, be inspired by the nature. And I loved how you repeated several times the meaning of a choice, how we choose how to be in that situation. Would you share maybe, because coming to that spring, and I'm seeing your name, permission to bloom, before having that permission to bloom, before being able to make that choice, we sometimes feel stuck. How to make that choice to go with that natural flow and bloom and grow.
Hmm.
Would you share our listeners about choice?
Well, I think the most important maybe ingredient for that on that journey is curiosity.
Mm.
And the second one, probably courage or bravery. And when we can bring these together, it seems very not easy, but more natural. Because if I can get curious about, what is it I need to let go? What is it I need to, what wants to be looked at? What is not authentic anymore?
Mm.
If I can look at that, get curious, and then courageously look at that, so much will unfold.
Yeah. Would you be okay if I would ask, when you divorced your husband, what was
He
it?
divorced me.
He divorced you. Okay,
That's why
okay.
it became so hard. That's why, okay.
Yeah, thank you for that correction. That makes it sounds like it's even maybe more challenging to let go, right?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, what was your awareness? What did you had to let go in making that choice to step forward, to move forward?
I was holding on to what I believed was my person, but we outgrew, and I didn't want to see it.
Mm.
So, and then when it all became, and it like head on peaked in that crisis, that it was definitely intense. I lost my person. The
Yeah.
person I thought, we had plans to grow together the way I envisioned. But, I was a very different person. This is like 7 years ago. So this is, when I think back, the way I looked out into the world was very different the way I see the world now.
So in a way, one part of you died and one was born. Is
Hmm.
seeing yourself a different person now?
Hmm. Yeah. Something, in order for something new to come in, we need to let go of certain things. And there's no need to carry around old luggage, or we can metabolize and turn it into something fruitful and new. And when we let go, then we also create space for something new to really come in and take place.
And sometimes, when I read articles or listen to people, we have this perception of letting go. We will let go it, and it's sort of a push situation. Did you had the same experience? Letting go is a more of push, or it's more comes with the process?
It came with a process, and I think that for me, on my healing journey, hey, I said I was on a sofa for 3 months. I don't even smoke, and I smoked cigarettes. And the reason why I smoked cigarettes, because it's basically a meditation. You're inhaling and exhaling, and I was calming my nervous system. And
Mm,
that's what I did, and what I needed to do. And I just gave myself permission to be miserable. And
mm,
through that process, because I allowed myself to be like, okay, today is another shitty day, something changed,
mm,
something cracked. And that was the biggest shift for me, where I was like, oh wow, okay, you know, I'm coming out of this. But it was it's about, I think, when we hold, again, holding on and fighting it, that's what makes it even more painful. But allowing to be heartbroken. Hey,
yeah,
that's, why not? It's really, that's it. Instead of like, oh my God, I have to put myself together, and I have to, function, and I have to look like nothing, that like it didn't affect me. But no, I think this is, again, because we're so disconnected, I think we need to honor our processes.
mm,
So I gave myself that permission.
yeah.
And when
Permission
yeah,
to
to
let go of
be,
expectation, how it should be, how it should work out, how should I be?
yeah.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, I stopped smoking, because my nervous system became much more regulated. And I'm really not a smoker. It's really fascinating that but I needed it. And I didn't make myself wrong for it. I was like, okay, this is my tool right now to help me.
Right. It sounds very also compassionate, you
Yeah,
know, compassionate towards yourself to be able to carry and be with what is.
yeah. And that was before compassionate inquiry. I didn't even have all the language to say that I'm so self-compassionate. I was just that innate sort of process,
Mhm.
the way
Which
yeah,
which also shows that compassion is part of our natural healing, right? It's just a natural process, and we can be trained from it and open those doors, but it also comes naturally when we allow ourselves to be present with what
yeah,
is.
absolutely. I mean, knowing it now, it's, wonderful to name it. And it's wonderful to invite our clients into that space.
Yeah.
But it is an innate quality we all carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any belief you had to change for you to be able to grow in this last 7 years?
What do you mean believe?
Like belief about yourself. Who did you believe you were before or in time of your divorce?
I think another pivotal moment for me was when I realized that, because my one of my gifts is to connect to people,
Mm-hmm.
because of the photography, to
Mm-hmm.
really be present and make that connection and
Mm-hmm.
establish that trust or co-regulation.
Mm-hmm.
That this would be, I could transfer this into the healing world. And that was a really big empowerment piece for me, and was like, wow, this is so cool that I get to reinvent myself, but take this gift with me, and,
Mm-hmm.
um, sort of upgrade it, or, make it something new, like massage it into something, different, new, because I'm going to use the same gift, but in a different way, as I, was connecting with my clients.
Yeah.
So I
I
don't know if
love.
that really answered your question, but
Yeah, what really resonated with me was that sometimes, with such a big change happens in our lives, um, we have this sense that we will change everything. And now I'm getting, you said at the beginning, one part of me died. one part of me. It's not like when, we separate or we become ill or, we have big changes in our lives. It feels like everything changes, but it's not everything. It's a part of us, and we can take the gifts that we want to carry with us, but one part of us or more parts of us change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the language also we need to, or we can invite our clients to bring, because sometimes it feels so overwhelming that all of us, me, you, whoever, right, collapses and dies. But when we see, no, it's just that part. There's, a part or multiple parts, and those parts, can have permission to collapse and die. And
Yeah.
then we create through that, just simply through the language, right? We unmerge and we can create that spaciousness. And
Yeah.
from there, come back to self, because self will never die. So, I mean, maybe in a very extreme, but self energy, self is there. And so then we can maybe nurture that self again
Yeah.
and look at what self actually needs.
And I would love to hear a little bit more, in a way, because sometimes my clients say, when I first offer them, if there are more parts, they say like, am I crazy for experiencing this? Because we don't have this language, as you said, or we don't have the perception of ourselves as being from more parts. What would you say to listeners who have these mixed feelings and they don't know what's happening for them in these changing situations?
Hmm. Maybe two things: to normalize whatever happens, because it's part of our human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And no, nothing lived actually when we look at the duration of when an emotion comes up in our body, how, quickly they can, you know, leave us again or subside. And so knowing that, maybe that again creates a little tiny bit of relaxation and safety, and, understanding that, hey, it's okay to feel that. Just again, giving oneself that permission. It's intense and it will change.
Mm.
I grieve right now, and that is okay.
That is okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like such a simple well-being
Mhm.
statement also for anyone. It's okay to be with this. I'm feeling this and it's okay. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
And what could people do? What could listeners do? Would you share any practice that they can do when they're experiencing overwhelm or just wanting to feel good?
Do you mean like right now a little practice, or
Yeah,
do you mean some tools?
yeah, yeah.
What do
Or
you
in
mean?
any way, what feels right for you?
Well, I mean, I work with the vagus nerve a lot. So, maybe when we are overwhelmed, learning about, how our nervous system feels, how we're feeling. Am I mobilized, or am I in a freeze state?
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel in my body? And why am I feeling this way? So, and allowing, the breath is our most powerful tool. So, giving ourselves even just 3 simple breaths sometimes can just help us to come back a little tiny bit in a more regulated and ventral state. Am I, in a story in the past or in the future? How do my feet, how do my feet feel right now on the ground? Am I really here? Can I take in my environment? How is it, can I come back to that, the safety of my environment, of that space? And again, bringing some, slow breath into that. And inhale and exhaling, slowing it all down. And again, and giving the permission to feel whatever, the body wants to feel. Yeah.
I'm just breathing with you, and I'll have to admit I'm just so hot today because of the weather. But it gives you a different awareness when you pause and allow yourself to feel whatever it's present, and connecting with the breath does help with that.
Yeah. And also our mind, and because of the way we live, right? Our mind is, oh, it's very quickly now. I find a solution and it needs to be done and I need to move on. And our body just has a very different rhythm and speed. So when we pausing and allowing that breath, everything is just settling it more into a natural rhythm of our body,
Mhm.
and it's okay. We don't, we can have our thoughts and they can come and go, but we don't need to follow that rush of our thoughts. That would just, perpetuate the probably anxiety or overwhelm, whatever it is, which is present.
Yeah. And would you say then, we spoke about disconnection from nature. That's also in the core, but for us, is that disconnection from our body? Is
Mm.
this how we can sense if we are connected, if we are present? How do you see the role of the body in our well-being?
Our body, I mean, it's our beautiful vessel. Without our body, we don't really exist. And so, and then yet again, right, because our body it maybe has never felt safe to connect to our body. But then we could also think of the body as not just that, the physical, but the aura, and it's just, and that connecting to like the bigger idea of the body.
Mm.
And even the space we are in, extending it out into, slowly doing, finding the right distance to the body, the emotions. And it could just simply be by looking, in front at an object and noticing how it is when we take that in, and maybe again noticing the way we sit and slowly creating through that a little bit of regulation and a little bit, tiny bit more safety and calm.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this focusing, bringing awareness to our body and objects around us. Maybe for, some people, um, I'm sure they wonder how to implement that in their life, in their daytime, because, we have this fast-paced environment, jobs, and we maybe already know that we are disconnected from the nature, from the body, but how to, do that in your workday? What would
Mhm.
you recommend?
Um, there are simple practices. I mean, and we can do one if you like.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be great. Yeah.
yeah. We can do this sitting, and so should we just do it?
Yes, let's do it.
Should we just do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, good. So I invite you both
Mhm.
to take a breath. Maybe it's the deepest breath of the day. And you can close your eyes, or you can focus on something in front of you, or you can leave your eyes open, whatever. It's invitational. There's no right, there's no wrong. It is you. And the invitation is to you listening to your body.
I'll close my eyes. I have to share.
Yeah. So let's take a deep inhale. And exhale. And really arriving in this moment, allowing yourself to feel the weight of your body, settling in. And if you need to shift a bit, just find that spot. And with the next inhale, I want to invite you to take one hand on your heart area and the other hand on your belly. And when we inhale, we can breathe into our belly. The belly rises, and then it falls with the exhale. And we can feel our heart space. And maybe you feel the rise and the fall as you breathe. Or maybe not, and that's okay. And with the next inhale, maybe we can bring some attention to the hand on our heart, to this warm heart, the skin touching the clothing. And maybe we can play with the pressure of this hand a little bit. Maybe applying 10% of gentle pressure. And just noticing how that feels. Holding yourself, your hand on your heart. And with the next inhale, I will bring some attention to the way you're sitting. Noticing all the touch points, your feet on the ground, your legs, your back on the chair. And with the next inhale, maybe we can soften and using our gravity, making everything a little wider, allowing to be held by gravity, supported by Mother Earth. As we return again to our breath. And with the next inhale, you can imagine the end of your spine. There's a lot of muscles and a lot of sensors and nerves. And you could just sort of imagine tightening up the end of your spine. Or maybe you get even a little bit taller, bringing in a little bit of sympathetic energy. And with the next inhale, letting go. Again, widening, softening into that sitting, into being held. And you can do this a few more times. Softening, widening, surrendering. Inhaling and exhaling. And slowly coming back. And you can flutter your eyes open. Mm. Thank you for doing this little practice with me.
Thank you for sharing this. I feel so much more in tuned, calm. I can see even my voice changing. Yeah, such a great connection to my body. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's a great little practice. You know, whoever listens to this you can extend it, and it can be done anywhere, really.
Yeah.
You can be in a coffee shop and do this,
Yes. Yeah.
or whatever, right? In your office, on a park bench, in a bus, in a train. Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes we think it's going to take an extra time, but this you can do, everywhere, and it feels very nurturing. So I invite you to try also at home or work, wherever you are. Maybe not if you're driving.
Maybe not.
And and I'm seeing Paula joining us. Paula, would you like to add something?
Yeah, first of all, I don't want to take my hand away from my heart center. It's like it's drawing me in, and I feel so calm. So thank you for that, Claudia.
Mm, thank you.
Two curiosities have risen up for me as I listen to your wisdom. And, one I've been thinking about, I do a little bit of work with people that are navigating cancer. And I noticed that some fears come up, the fear of pain, the fear what this is going to be like for them, for their family, and even the fear of death. Um, and I'm just wondering, as your experiences as a death doula, do you have any words of wisdom, any possibilities to offer people that are navigating that, and how to bring, a little bit more peace into that through that experience?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I mean, those journeys are so deeply personal. And um, again, we live in a dysphobic society. We outsourced the process of dying. And because of that, it becomes even more scary and foreign to us. And we're doing this with birthing already. We're handing over to the hospitals, to these neon filled, light filled rooms, and it's the same at the end of our lives. Or when we go into um, situations, illnesses, like cancer, where maybe there is a chance that this will come rather sooner than later. So, the invitation is to really reflect on, maybe there are some unfinished businesses, to find, that inner peace. Maybe, your clients have 3 months or maybe 6 months or a year to go, but what is it they want to leave behind? What is it, they maybe needs mending, needs forgiving, maybe for self, in order to sort of find that inner center. And by asking those questions, and even, how do I want my death actually to look like? It seems, or maybe, yeah, it is probably courageous to ask that question, because we're handing it over, we're outsourcing it to somebody, and that whatever institute or organization says, yeah, this is how, you're going to be in this casket, and and you will not be around anyway. But I mean, there's, you could have, before it is, coming to an end, you could invite all the people which matter in your life, and you can gather them, and you can have a celebration of that you had that life, and reflect on it, and also share that energy, forward with your surrounding, with your immediate community. And I don't know, there is something so sacred in that. And I feel that's, what's missing. We need to come back to that. We need to come back to those community spaces, because we're not meant to do all this on our own.
Mhm.
We need to hold each other. We're meant to grieve together. We're meant to mourn together. We're meant to finish what has begun together. And when we feel that we can do this together, then we feel much stronger in this process.
Beautiful. I see that connectedness and how important that is for, all stages of our life. And I'm thinking of, I had that opportunity to be with my mom when she was passing, and it was the most beautiful, sacred experience, being with her and for her to be surrounded. Amazing.
Yeah. And those are such pivotal moments when we get to be there when somebody passes, because that I think is such a deep connection back to our roots. We need that in order to really live authentically and show up for why we are here on this earth when we are witnessing that transition.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I have one other question of curiosity. At this stage, friends are losing partners and parents and even children. And I'm seeing that for some, they're moving through the process of grief and coming to a sense of peace and acceptance. And for some, I'm seeing almost a stuck in grief. And I'm wondering if you have any insights to
Mhm.
offer.
Yeah. Um, Again, grief is not something we do on our own. Grief is actually literally a communal coming together and weeping and crying, being held, being witnessed. And yeah, so I want to invite everybody to find a new relationship to grief. And as Doris mentioned, I did this apprenticeship with Francis Weller, and you can look up, or maybe you put it in your notes, Francis Weller. And there's the Wild Edge of Sorrow is a book he wrote, and it's just such a beautiful, inspiring book. And he talks about um, we hold grief in one hand and gratitude in the other. And in that space in between, that's where we find our aliveness. That's where we need to show up as adult human beings. And that's our task in this lifetime. Because there's so much grief, but there is also so much gratitude. And we can find, when we can do that, when we can really hold these two things in one hand and the other, we find beauty in it. And we need beauty in our life.
I'm just thinking, is there joy in death?
Yeah.
And I'm hearing you say that really gratitude, I think that's what can ignite our joy,
Yeah.
even in passing. I remember reflecting on my mom. She had been in a nursing home for 21 years. She
Mm.
had experienced a stroke and she had lack of mobility and difficulty communicating for 21 years. And I grieved her for 21 years
Mhm.
until her physical body left.
Yeah.
And then she eventually passed from this world physically. It was like I could see why she was there for 21 more years. There
Mhm.
was so much determination and perseverance, and there was love that was being offered from her. And
Mhm.
I had so much joy in recognizing that's what her purpose was.
Mhm. Wow, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
I'm so appreciative of you and the work that you do. So thank you so much.
Mm. Thank you for having me and giving me that space to express. Um, I really, I loved. It sounds maybe funny, but I do. I love talking about death. I really feel like we need to get away from this. There's still this stigma around it, and we're in this enormous change right now. So much is falling away and truth is coming out, and we're born to die. So we need to really get up close with this, and we're invited to really be with it. And when we are, then we find our core and our center.
And I was, I just loved your questions, Paula. Uh, what's showing up for me is that we never speak in a way about well-being in death, or maybe we speak when we are at the end of our journey here, but this could be a topic for that should be more common in our language and more life, well-being and grief, well-being and death. Those two words are not often put together. Even when I say them out loud, it's sort of, I feel they're connected, but it feels strange to put them together.
Yeah.
How do you see that? Well-being, grief, death. What shows up for you?
Yeah, it's that honoring. I'm honoring a life lived.
Mm.
I'm honoring the relationship and the memories around that person. So doesn't that deserve more than a, neon-filled cold room with tubes where a doctor comes in and says, "No, we're gonna keep this person alive more, or we're turning off the machine." And then, it's so there's what's the humanity is missing in that, the warmth. And there was a research done actually by a Japanese woman. She went to hospitals and recorded the sound of the peeping machines, and it was on such a high frequency. Wasn't even music anymore. And it was like, again, who designs such machines where a lot of people who probably really on life support have to constantly listen to this like horrific sound? How can we not design something more human with a calming, soothing sound, which calms the nervous system, where we're all already, I mean, imagine you're on this in a room and you're activated, and our nervous system wants to really have, different sounds than that. But again, we're so disconnected from that. Because it's that pharmaceutical, industrial, medical complex, just I'm just gonna name it because it's set up for profit. We're losing our humanness when we enter often those hospitals or institutions, and we just have a code on our risk. And unfortunately, that is so. We're really invited to take it back.
Yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
when I look at here in Germany at old houses, the houses had, a big entrance. The living room had a big door, and the person in the casket was there. And then the people came and it became an event. But we don't do that anymore.
Mm.
We got so like uncomfortable with dying. Well, everything is like we need to live longer. We can't even age. So I mean, don't get me started. I could talk about this a lot. So I mean, it's the most natural process.
But like I'm a pharmacist, so I feel I need to add on that pharmaceutical point. But
Okay.
in a way, what I'm hearing is, the way I'm seeing pharmacy is offering that quick fix. You take one pill and all of your problems will go away. And it just got me realized that we're doing the same with death. You die and that's it. It's just a quick thing.
Yep.
It's not a process, it's not celebration of life, how you say, what was joyful in that life. So then we miss the gift of death. And
Yeah. I think these are initiations. I mean, Paula said how beautiful it was and how powerful it was to be witness to her mom's death.
yeah.
And that's an initiation. And we don't have initiations anymore in our lives.
Mm,
And I think that's, where a lot of things got so haywire, let's put it that way.
yeah,
Again, disconnected.
yeah.
But if we really be with that transition to see somebody, the body, the soul leaves the body and then there's the body,
Mm,
it's so much, there's mystery. It's incredible.
yeah,
It opens our hearts.
it does. It does.
Mm.
It does. And there is one more thing showing up for me that it's not directly connected to this, but when we don't have that opportunity to witness the passing, I believe it's often because we disconnected from the person before, because the relationship is not working, we can't communicate. Sort of in a way, I like what you say, um, to be joyful about the life, celebrate the life that we had. So I sort of wonder if that can happen even before the person dies, when we separate, maybe not even, we can separate when we're in the partnership, but maybe we can also separate from friends, other relatives in more emotional way.
Yeah. And it's about, what is it we are leaving behind? I'm gonna come back to that legacy. You
Mm.
know, what am I forgiving? Why carry that on into the other world? Maybe there can be a reckoning and be like, I want to leave this earth clean and I'm going to forgive myself and I forgive that whatever that relationship was. Because it's not just to know how the other person reacts, but it's about the energy. I am doing this because I'm sending out that energy into the world. That's vibration. Everything is energy. So even if that other person may not accept that reckoning or that apology or whatever, that reconnecting, there's still something
Yeah.
because, I'm doing it for my own reason in order to heal my heart, in order to have my heart open as I move on, that I can say I did the best I could.
Yeah. And I'm having a vision of my particular relative in my mind right now. And I'm assuming a lot of listeners might have the same challenge. How about if we struggle to forgive? We would like to move forward and, go, like you said, open our heart. What would you recommend to people who struggle in that letting go, even maybe before or at the end of life?
Yeah, maybe get curious. What is it? What wants to hold on? What
Mm.
is it? Is stuck? What's behind it? Maybe there is a belief. If I I was done wrong, and if I do that, I am then, I might get exposed. I'm vulnerable again because that person hurt me. But I think it's not about the other. It really comes back to, and especially in situations of illness and death and grief.
Mm.
Um, you know, I can forgive myself.
Forgiving yourself.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm loving that. Forgiving yourself. Yeah.
yeah.
And letting go.
You know,
Yeah.
I I will never receive an apology from my ex-husband, but I
Mm.
can find my peace, and I found my peace by saying I forgave myself for all of what was there. I was part of it, and I'm forgiving what unfolded, and I'm finding my own peace with it. And I can metabolize it and make it into something new, into turn it into a nutrition and wisdom as I move forward with my life.
And that's such I got goosebumps. That's such an empowerment. And that is the real power and strength also for all the women that have that challenge, right?
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
make mistakes. And we in that moment maybe we believed that was, that was our truth in that moment. So it's okay. We can, can come to that. Yeah. That's that forgiveness. Again, compassion, right? We can have some compassion to ourselves.
Yeah, we started sort of with self-compassion, and now I'm learning a new term, self-forgiveness.
Mm.
Yeah, and I'm sure some people would like to know more. Where can people find you? How do you spread your work, your wisdom with us?
Yeah. Well, my website, permissiontobloom.org. That's the easiest. It's also easy to remember, and same thing on Instagram.
Permission to bloom.
Yeah, permission to bloom.
Yeah. And that's such a, thinking of compassion, forgiveness, and then comes the permission. What does the permission means in that permission to bloom?
I think it's a conscious decision, again, we have to make. We can give ourselves those permissions, and sometimes we're needing to give ourselves those permissions.
Yeah.
I'm giving myself the permission to admit I made a mistake. I can give myself the permission to let go of that anger I had as a teenager, and I know it was protecting me. I mean, I'm just using some examples, right? I'm giving myself permission to really say no because this no longer serves me. And there's something really beautiful and soft and warm when we really give ourselves that permission.
Yeah. I'm bringing awareness to the importance of the permission, maybe even permission to feel safe in your body. Speaking about giving permission to be connected to the nature, sort of it feels like that, inner parent or inner critic is still keeping us in line. You should have to do that, you should do that, and giving us permission to step in our autonomy is such an important piece in our well-being.
Yeah, thank you for speaking to that. That is, so true. And also, I can give myself permission of not knowing.
Yes. Yes,
And I
definitely.
can still be here. I can give myself the permission to allow to feel whatever is present without judgment. I think that's another such a powerful statement because we're so harsh on ourselves.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Our judge is very strong. Yeah. So I have one more question. When we're seeking our path towards our well-being, what inspires you? What would you share with our listeners? Maybe a song, a person, a place. What inspires you when you struggle, maybe?
It's nature.
Yeah.
I have some tree friends.
Tree friends, I love that. Do you hug them?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
And
me
if
too.
I have especially a tree friend near where my mom lives, and when I go for walks and I don't say hello, I feel like I don't know why it's a he, but he gets angry. He's disappointed that I don't say hi. We have known each other for years. And so, there's something, hugging a tree is really powerful. I don't know if you have hugged a tree before, but there is something, right? We really can lean into it. And I truly, truly believe that nature wants to have our sorrows, wants to have our tears, wants to hear our pains, our struggles. Mother Earth is ready to receive it and turn it into nutrition and something new. So when we hug a tree, there's something so comforting. I know I'm not alone.
Oh, that is so beautiful. In nature, you're not alone, and definitely I can just sense that hugging of trees. And I see Paula smiling because you want to add to that, Paula.
Well, my favorite place is to be in the forest. And I just find that the forest is medicine.
Yeah, it is medicine.
So, Claudia, thank you so much for sharing this journey and giving us this, very practical and simple things we can use in our day. When we struggle, we want to be inspired, and definitely now when I'm hugging a tree, I will send you a big hug to your side. So Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you again for the beautiful conversation.
And Claudia, I was just thinking how, you've planted seeds within us, and I'm feeling some inspiration blooming here. And I'm just so deeply appreciative of this conversation and much to reflect on in the days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, in our upcoming podcast, expect engaging conversations, personal reflections, and guest interviews with thought leaders in the field of wellness, all aimed at helping you cultivate more ease, confidence, and energy and playfulness into your everyday life. Whether you're navigating work stress, family demands, or feeling stuck in a healing journey, this podcast is here to remind you that joy isn't a luxury, it's your birthright. So remember to subscribe, follow, share, and connect with our podcast, Stress Less, Joy More, on social media, since all we really want to do is feel good today. Thanks.